This story starts about 3 or 4 years ago when Oregon's basketball team had a great center. I can't remember what his name was, but I remember he only had one working eye, and he had like a heart condition or something where doctors advised him to retire at the end of his season in college, and sadly he was unable to make it to the NBA. If anyone watching remembers his name, you can comment below. But anyway, I used to watch Oregon games back then when he was on the team, because I wanted to see him play. But every Oregon game that I had watched, I was extremely impressed by this freshman or sophomore guard on their team named Payton Prichard. A couple of years went by, and just by the way the NBA goes, where usually only freshmen are drafted, I just assumed he either stopped playing or went to Europe to play. Until the 2020 NBA draft, when the Boston Celtics took him with the 26th overall pick. Now, this was a player I'd love to watch when he was in college, but I thought the Celtics didn't need another guard, and he wouldn't fit in with them. But in his very short career so far, he has shown me that the skills that impressed me while he was in college, he was able to translate at the NBA level. And what are these skills that have impressed me from Payton Prichard? He has something that's hard to put a word to. It's similar to a clutch player, but not exactly that. Where he is a player that plays smart and plays hard. Someone who is extremely competitive and always seems to make the right play at the right time. It's hard to think of other players that have this, but ones that I can think of are like Marcus Smart fits it perfectly. And I've seen players like Patrick Beverley have moments in his career where he has this trait. Looking in the past, it's someone like Dennis Johnson. This type of player never has amazing looking stats, but if you watch the game, you know that they were a big reason why the team would win. This is a player that I would call a super role player. You never want this player to be your superstar, but if you already have star players on your team to build around, these are the type of players that will bring you to the next level. I think a good example of what these players are like is when a football player is described as having a high motor. They play with the same high game intensity. But in the NBA, these are usually not high draft picks. As another good example of this type of player is Draymond Green, and he was a second-round draft pick. And I feel like there is an easy way to explain why this is. Even though these are very valuable players to have, and every team needs one of these players at least, I think this trait is undervalued by NBA scouts. Because in basketball, this is a hard skill to evaluate, especially at younger levels. So I do not believe it's because these players are unwanted, but just they cannot tell how they will turn out. As we see these types of players generate a lot of interest from other teams. Patrick Beverley got traded to the Clippers, and they expect him to help them win a championship. This is just a hard skill to evaluate, and that's why when a team needs this type of player, they don't know when they are one while they are in college. This is what I think. I'm interested to see how others feel about this.